What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Chair Shot Sports. I'm John Anthony. Guys, it is a phenomenal next 2 to 3 weeks. Actually, the whole month of November going on right now. We have TNA, WWE, AEW, Crown Jewel, Bound for Glory, Halloween Havoc. You name it. We have pay-per-views almost every Saturday and Sunday for the next couple of weeks, heading all the way down toward Thanksgiving, when we're going to have War Games, which is going to be a phenomenal PLE from WWE. But don't let me get ahead of myself. We're here today to talk about TNA's Bound for Glory, one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year. And man, is this card stacked. These matches look awesome, and I'm sure the surprises are going to be even better than whatever I'm going to talk about today for prediction-wise. So again, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm John Anthony. Guys, we do this all the time. Every time there's a pay-per-view or a PLE, we always get together, we talk about it. But again, I feel like I'm in the Brady Bunch. It's the first time in a while I've been doing this by myself. Usually I have a couple of guys with me from the group, but tonight it's going to be just me talking about this. So if you took a look at TNA this past Thursday night, great show, awesome show. They kicked it off with an elimination match for the 20th spot in the TNA Call Your Shot Gauntlet match on Saturday, the 26th. So what this is, if you win the Call Your Shot match, you pretty much, it's almost like a Money in the Bank or grabbing the brass ring in AEW. You have 1 year, whatever title you want, whenever, wherever you want to do, and call your shot for whatever championship you want on the brand. So kudos to TNA for coming up with this. AEW did it a couple of years ago with the Grab the Brass Ring, a la VKM. And obviously WWE's been doing it for a while with the Money in the Bank match. So I digress. Back to Thursday night. Obviously they had their match. A lot of great players. Kazarian, Francis, a lot of guys in this match. Looking to win. Sami Callihan also. Great to see him in there as well. But at the end of the day, AJ Francis sneaks in, gets himself the 1-2-3, and that man is your money, your 20th entrant into the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, which is going to be kicking off TNA Bound for Glory on Saturday. Interesting match. As far as a winner for that, I'm not going to even sit here and try to speculate. A lot of guys in that match. Could be a lot of people that pop out from NXT as well, so not really something I'm trying to pick a name and kind of put my eggs into a basket, but it's going to be a good match. With Francis getting that 20th overall, coming in last, definitely has that edge. I can definitely see Francis winning it. He's hot right now in TNA, doing a lot of work toward his character, doing a lot of work in his tag team. So as far as a winner for that, I can't call it. Francis might be a good pick, but everyone knows even if you enter 30th in the Royal Rumble in WWE, doesn't mean you're walking out the winner with a shot to WrestleMania. So that'll be interesting to watch. It's going to be a great match. But there's some foreshadowing to that when we get to the end of this last Thursday's episode. They had a contract signing. You had Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry, and then you had Jordan Grace, and also Masha Slamovich in the ring. Out comes Kazarian. They say what they need to each other, get all their stuff out to one another about winning, losing. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to retain this and that, the other. And we're going to talk about that a little bit as we go down the line of the card. Kazarian breaks it up, comes out, kind of berades all four guys, including Santana Morella, which is a little BS to me. Big Santana Morella fan, huge Ariana Grace fan here at Chairshot Sports. So looks at both the gentlemen, looks at Nemeth, looks over at Joe Hendry, puts his hands on both their shoulders, says, "Gents, all I can tell you is I can guarantee is the right man is going to walk out of Bound for Glory, the World Heavyweight Champion." That spoke more volumes than I think anyone else realizes. Now, Kazarian enters number 1 in that gauntlet match. Obviously, the first thought you have is Kazarian goes 1 all the way to the end, probably ends up beating AJ Francis, right? Apropos. Getting that. So as the referee, can obviously do what he needs to do, knock someone out. Some other nefarious tactics. Can't talk. It's late at night here on the East Coast. So nefarious tactics. Next thing you know, Kazarian's walking out TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So that said a lot with him saying that to both those guys. Now, again, that's going to go all the way to the front of the pay-per-view. If Kazarian doesn't win that match, then it's going to be interesting to know if maybe Kazarian helps whoever does win that match kind of move in and become the new world champion. And we'll talk about a little bit more of the World Heavyweight Championship as we get down the road. So with that being said, that was Thursday night. Those are the cool little things that happened. There was obviously a lot of matches, some 6-man tags, 4 8-man tags, a lot of singles matches, kind of setting up tag matches, just setting up kind of moving to Saturday. So without further ado, let's get past this past Thursday on TNA. Let's get on the exit. Let's get off the exit on Detroit. Let's talk about TNA Bound For Glory. First match we'll start with is Moose and Mike Santana. This match is going to be awesome. Great. Pillar to pillar, post to post, rope to rope. These guys can go. Moose is amazing. Probably underrated on what he can do in that ring. Mike Santana has been amazing ever since coming over from AEW and splitting off from LAX. Moose has gotten the better of Santana for a long time. And this past Thursday did not prove any different to that. So I got to sit here and tell you, I think this is where, again, you have to look at Bound For Glory as some people bill it as their WrestleMania. I've always gone with the fact of Slammiversary is the TNA WrestleMania. That's where you would see the King of the Mountain matches, the Ultimate X matches, all these high standing stipulation matches. That's where you would see that with TNA in the past. It would be a Slammiversary. That is how I feel. That's where I think where would be the WrestleMania, if you will, and you will, of TNA. But Bound For Glory is probably a very close second, probably a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series, if you will. So that being said, I think Santana gets his just desserts here, gets his revenge, gets to come up. It's obviously we're going to probably see some people from the system interfering. But Santana here gets the 1, 2, 3 here, gets a win, gets some retribution, and then kind of thing moves on as we move forward to Slammiversary in 2025, kind of to a new rivalry, maybe go for some gold as well. Then we have another non-title match. We have Josh Alexander and the Northern Armory taking on Steve Macklin. So why is Steve Macklin picked here? And I was like, I don't know, man. Josh Alexander might want to get a win here. Might, build him up, put him back into maybe the heavyweight championship. And then you know what? I saw this past Thursday on TNA. Watch this past Thursday's Impact. Did the usual, and if anything, TNA did it, WCW did it, AEW does it. Everyone copies off of WWE. Everybody knows. You get your ass kicked, you get handed to you the week before pay-per-view. 8.5 times out of 10, you're going to get your just desserts and your comeuppance. You're going to win at the pay-per-view, right? So I took Macklin. I thought, I was like, you know what? I'm going to regret it a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling it. Maybe Alexander comes off the top. He's got the Northern Armory, the rest of the Northern Armory with him. Maybe they come out, they help him out. They're probably going to be at ringside. But that's what happened on Thursday. They just took the chair and just kind of zip tied Macklin to the ropes, which is giving him the business. And I'm like, no. When Saturday comes, Macklin's getting his win. He's getting his payback. He's going to get the 1, 2, 3. If I had to guess, I'm guessing the rest of Northern Armory gets thrown out from doing some stuff outside. Leaves Alexander and Macklin by himself. Alexander probably goes for a finisher. Macklin counters or kicks out, gets his finisher. Boom. Here we go. There you go. Mac gets the 1, 2, 3. So those are the first two matches of the night. Also, another match that was just added after this Thursday's Impact was Ashley and Heather by Elegance taking on Zaya Blindside and Reese from NXT. Now, I love the TN NXT crossover. It makes a lot of sense to me. Love it. Love to see it. Reese has not been a lot of work over on NXT right now on Tuesdays. The women's division is very crowded right now, even with the women's title and the women's North American Championship. So to have them interfere on the coming out party, on the reveal, and to have them come to dipping Ash and Heather's head in the champagne, throwing them against the ring, just beating them up was great to see. So with that case, it's Reese and Brookside all day. They're getting that win. Absolutely, faces for days. If that's the kickoff, all day, they're definitely getting that win. So those are the three matches that are non-title, or I should say, are not in the main card. I apologize. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold. This is like the third or fourth podcast I've had to do this week. So if it sounds a little bit under the weather, I apologize. I'm feeling good. Just a little bit of frog in my throat, so I apologize. So we'll just start at the bottom. We'll start going down the card. Obviously, star-studded. It's obviously booked up, packed. Let's go. The TNA Knockout Tag Championship. Spitfire taking on Rosemary and Wendy Chu. Now, this is the one match. Now, the thing that's been going on, like I just spoke about, the TNA NXT partnership. The biggest thing to do with that is there's not been one person. They've had people competing in other matches, whether it be an NXT or TNA or vice versa. There hasn't been one person from the other brand that has come over and taken another brand's belt. Now, that's the big thing I've waited for. I really thought Joe Hendry was going to be the one to win the NXT championship. You go back and take a look at it 2 months ago when he was in the main event. I thought this was his time. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the main event of this pay-per-view of Bound for Glory. With that being said, I think this is the time. Rosemary and Wendy Chu being reimagined as the Nightmare Dream Sleeper. Rosemary obviously being a pillar of TNA and being a menace for years on that brand. It makes sense for Wendy Chu to be a part of the TNA Women's Tag Team Championships. I'm sorry, the Knockouts champions in TNA. Now, it doesn't mean, I say that not meaning that those titles don't mean enough, that those are the ones you can cross-promote, but it means you can cross-promote. You're looking at a company like WWE who has one set of women's champion right now, who is Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, who take their talents to Raw, to SmackDown, to NXT. Not so much in that particular order, right? So why wouldn't TNA not take a page out of that book, if you will, put the belts on Rosemary, put them on Wendy Chu. They show up at TNA. Impact, we all know, does tapings. Tape a couple things, but then you can take those guys and throw them on NXT on a Tuesday, maybe 2 Tuesdays in a row. Maybe they're holding open invitationals. Now you're getting the TNA knockout belts and the TNA name on NXT, which is now on, I know, CW, not just USA. Nothing against USA, but CW is a little more syndicated, a little more out there. From what it looks of it, they're averaging about 700,000 people a week, even after the big go-home shows in Chicago and St. Louis. So I think I know this has got to be the time that finally one or the other, someone from the other company touches some gold from the other and takes it onto the other brand's shows. It's going to be Rosemary. It's going to be Wendy Chu. They're walking out of Bound for Glory, the new TNA Knockouts Women's Tag Team Champions. Book it, baby. That being said, we got the TNA X Division Championship. Mike Bailey versus Vikingo. This match is going to be awesome. Awesome, man. It's going to go. This is going to be a great, great match. Could low-key steal the show, but Bailey just won this a couple months ago. I can't see Speedball losing the belt anytime soon. Probably taking it all the way to Slammiversary. Maybe to someone new up and coming, someone that's newly signed to the company, maybe an NXT person. The X Division belt's the one belt I thought that would kind of change hands, right? Even if it was the Wesley, the whole Rascals thing, I kind of thought that's where the title would maybe jump over to NXT, come back to TNA. Because if you're doing a true partnership, if you want to go back 3-4 years when it was TNA and AEW and Omega held all the gold, then Christian held all the gold, and then we started breaking it up, right? The biggest thing for the company is you want your belts on another company's brand, so they're like, what the hell? Why do those people? Wait a minute, I'm watching WWE. Those guys from TNA. What the hell's going on? Then a rivalry starts. Someone gets their ass kicked. They're tuning in. You watch Tuesday. Now you're watching Thursday because you want to see what the hell happened when that team goes down to the Impact Zone and they're whooping their ass trying to get a shot at tag titles or the X Division title. So, with that being said, Speedball Mike Bailey picks up the win here. He retains. Not to say it's not going to be a hell of a match, but worked really hard for that belt. I can see him holding that for a while, probably in 2025. Big match here. Now, this was a hard pick for me. TNA Digital Media Championship and the International Wrestling Champion. PCO, your incoming champion, taking on Matt Cardona in a Monsters Ball match. Now, here's the biggest thing. Those of you that watch the station, that watch my podcast, that watch us on the network, right? I don't just do these predictions and I sit here and go, oh, I think so-and-so's going to win because I like them and they're good and they need to win. I go into this whole fantasy booking thing, how I would call it. If I was sitting at the table, right, with Anthem and I was saying, okay, let's book this. This is how we're going to book the next 6 to 8 months. This is who should win the match. This should have the belt, right? Okay. I'm a huge fan of PCO. And I always hope that the wrestlers watch these shows, right? Because I'm not just saying this to like just give them kisses and just give them flowers, right, to everybody. But I'm a huge PCO fan. I'm also a huge Matt Cardona fan. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ever since he was Zack Ryder. But ever since he became Mr. Deathmatch, the Indie God, all of it. Our hope one day is to have Matt here on Chair Shot Sports for an awesome interview. That's down the road. Hopefully that happens. Matt, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on. Keep that in your back pocket, hopefully before you get to WWE, because I know how hard that's going to be once you're under contract with them. So with that being said, PCO has been a hell of a champion. Obviously, a lot of things going down with Steph. She's out for a while. Neck surgery. Gone until 2025. Who knows when. I'm sure she'll pop back up when it's needed and it's necessary. Very much missed. Big fan of the show. So I think here what you got to do is being Bound for Glory. If this was a regular, like, Victory Road or something like that, being Bound for Glory, you got to make a statement. And if he's healthy, if he's ready to go, we all know all roads lead back to WWE. You have to look at the partnership that these two companies have. Whenever you're looking at these talents and you're looking at who's winning matches, how they're getting booked, you need to understand X talents. Now that VCAM is gone, Paul Levesque is in charge. Maybe it's not the best of times over there. Maybe it's not any better for anybody. Maybe Cardona looks and goes, let me tell you something. On an off note, Chelsea Green, if you're watching this, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss to your character. Chelsea's taken chicken shit and made chicken salad. Amazing what she does week after week, showing up at NXT, kicking the shit out of people on SmackDown. Cardona's been giving her flowers day after day, week after week on social media. She's just making it happen. She was in a dumpster match, but comes out even more popular after losing a match. which is so hard to do nowadays in 2024. And she does that. So with that being said, PCO, I love you, man. I know you follow us. Big fans, man. We've talked. The move here is Matt Cardona. You need Matt Cardona to get these belts because you need eyes. And not that PCO doesn't bring eyes. Matt Cardona brings eyes because I guarantee you, once he's a double champ, he shows up in NXT. He has to. Whether it be in the background with Chelsea or just kind of showing or walking around the back talking to talent, maybe talking to Ava, talking to Stone, right? He's got to show up on WWE TV. This has got to be the inroad, right? There's got to be at some point when the TNA creative sits down at the table and somebody's there. I'm not saying it's Paul Levesque, but somebody's got to be sitting down from WWE going, hey, when you do that, bring them here first after they win that. And we'll kind of inroad them into us and then kick them back to you so you can kind of take more eyes onto your product. Because that's all the partnership is. WWE has billions of eyes. TNA has hundreds of thousands. They need millions, right? So, with that being said, calling it right now, Matt Cardona walks out, your digital media champion, international wrestling champion, and winner over PCO in the Monsters Ball at Bound For Glory. So then we come to the TNA World Tag Team Championships. A three-way full metal mayhem. Love it. Love the Full Metal Mayhem. Ever since TNA started doing this a long time ago, always a great match. It's the System versus ABC versus the Hardys. Now, I feel like this is a way easier pick than what you think it is, right? The System always gets gifted these tag belts. They've been holding them for a while. They don't usually defend them. And when they do a lot of nefarious things, obviously we're in Full Metal, right? And there's 3 teams. Everybody knows when there's more than 2 teams, somebody's trying to be out there to not look weak. And the other one can go, you didn't pin me, vice versa, yada, yada, yada. It's no secret that the Hardys have talked about they want to come back and end the career in WWE. Okay? It's so funny doing these. Like when I watch TNA, I don't know how much I can watch and not think, man, like, how much are they doing this to feed in WWE down the road? And vice versa. What does WWE have for TNA talent and kick them into into TNA on Thursday nights? You know what I mean? So it's a weird dichotomy. I know TNA pretty much is on their own, but this relationship is there for a reason. It's to build the eyes, like I was talking about with the Wendy Chu and the Rosemary title win. So in this match, it's got to be the Hardys because the Hardys win the belts, right? Hardys win. At some point, they're on NXT. They pop up, get into a match. It's going to be the Hardys versus pick a tag team, OTM, if you want. It's not going to be a stellar tag team. I say maybe Chase U, and I don't want to say not stellar because Chase U is great. Big fans of Chase U and Thea Hale, Mr. Chase. But it makes sense because the Hardys come in there, pop up. Another team from TNA comes up. Maybe even let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Right? It's Bound for Glory. Right? Going into an NXT. Let's get nuts. Maybe Motor City Machine Guns pop their ass down from SmackDown onto NXT. They got Motor City Machine Guns, a SmackDown team, versus the Hardys, a TNA Tag Team Championship team, taking on a team from NXT. Who knows? But this is the kind of world we live in right now with TNA and NXT. This is, I think, what AEW wanted to have with TNA. But they put all their gold on one guy, a little short-sighted with Omega. Omega's even said there were some things he wanted to do, but I was handcuffed. He couldn't do it. Scott D'Amore was like, nah, we're not doing that. So, but I digress. So I think the Hardys win here. They walk away. The system does look too weak. I'm sure ABC does some things that kind of cost them the victory, so the Hardys pick up the win. But there's an end to the means. The Hardys eventually drop them, maybe a Slammiversary. I don't know when their contracts are up. They've been with TNA for a little bit. Contracts are up. Night after WrestleMania. 2 weeks after WrestleMania. Maybe wait for the draft. Maybe TNA's involved in the draft. That's the... Don't want to get into a whole thing. I'm going to talk about this week on my weekly show. The draft in 2025 could be so good. It could be great. So great. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and TNA. You could have 4 brands in one draft. Sick. Who's coming from TNA? Whoever's contract's running up. That's what's happening. That's all they're doing. Does Jordan Grace get the phone call? Maybe. Maybe. Her contract's up. Does she come over? She could. Does Christian follow her? We don't know. Who's coming over? Does Santino eventually come back to WWE? I like him in his role in TNA, so I hope he stays there. I like that. I want him to stay there. I like that. But I digress. Don't want to get too far off the trail, but that being said, Hardys win. Full Metal Mayhem and the 3-way. Hardys win the belts, going away at Bound for Glory. Book it. Those guys are your winners. Then we move up to the TNA Knockouts Women's Championship. Jordan Grace, Masha Slamovich. This, another tough one for me. Jordan has held his belt for a long time. And if Bound for Glory is truly supposed to be the WrestleMania or close to it of what WWE does, this is where the champions lose the belts. And we all know, watching WrestleMania, watching the big four, big five, you count Money in the Bank, the big four, not all your favorites can win. Not all the faces can win, right? So if we go back down the card, what I talked about, so Mike Speedball wins, face. Rosemary Wendy Chu, okay, got some heels. Matt Cardona might be a heel to PCO, but people will be very happy he won that belt. So kind of a 50-50, and that kind of negates itself. The Hardys win. Gets you feel good. Yay, yay. The Hardys won. Woo! So I have Jordan Grace picked. And that's what I'm going to go with. Because I don't like to deceive anybody, and I don't like to wishy-wash anything. Jordan Grace is going to walk out the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion. Maybe. Watching Thursday, and I always take note of when people talk about how long they've been in the company, and when that's kind of the focal point of the whole match and the opportunity of what they're doing. Slamovich talked about it full circle, signed her first contract there. Now she's sitting there across from Jordan again, signing a contract to get a title shot. This is the one match I may get wrong. I don't like to flip-flop, so I'm not going to. I'm picking Jordan Grace. When I put my picks out on Saturday, it's going to have Jordan Grace circled. But when we talk about this, we talk about the fallout next week. And I sit here and I'm like, I went 3-2. And Slamovich won the belt. I'm going to say with a smile on my face, I took an L. I probably should have picked her. And this is probably the time for Jordan to lose, because I think it segues into her in WWE. But again, this is my long-term booking, and me sitting here at the creative table with 5 other people on each side of me, talking about what we're going to do moving forward. But with all that being said, right now, where the buck stops, right here, I have Jordan Grace walking out, and still your TNA Knockouts Women's Champion from Bound for Glory. And then we come up on an amazing yet intricate, very intricate match to end off the night of TNA Bound for Glory. It's the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Nick Nemeth versus Joe Hendry. Now, I think this was done on purpose. I think TNA is trying to get away from other things they've done in the past. For those of you that are huge TNA fans, feast or famine, right? You had a match, you got briefcases. It was either you got fired or you got a title shot, right? I think that's kind of what the call your shot match is kind of evolved into. They don't want to do the firing, which would have made, but that would have made so much sense with the WWE partnership. Because let's say you fire a guy like, I don't know, pick somebody, pick Santana. Santana wins, he gets fired. And then he shows up at NXT 3 weeks later. Hey, because he got fired in TNA. You know what I mean? This would have been the perfect opportunity to do that. But let me give him my winner. And if I've learned anything the past 4 months, that Joe Hendry has been on the scene, I've bet on him every time, whether it was for the TNA title, whether for the NXT title. He was the one man talking about Rosemary and Wendy Chu getting a title, right? And bringing it over to the other brand. He was the one guy I thought would win the NXT title when he had a shot and run that over to TNA. And everything just starts going ballistic. So when he lost, okay, great. Then he's in a couple other things. Then when I heard when this was the main event for Bound for Glory, it piqued my interest. The eyebrow went up. The Dwayne and me came out. I'm looking at the call your shot match. I'm looking at what Kazarian kind of said. Didn't affect my choice, but it makes my choice feel even better. I have Joe Hendry winning the TNA World Heavyweight Championship from Nick Nemeth. Because you need to pull the trigger on Joe Hendry. He can only be a song, a face, and a meme for so long. You need to give the guy some gold. You need to make him your main event guy. The guy every week, whether it's on NXT or on Impact. You need to do it. We can't go into 2025 of just and doing the turnaround. We can't do it. It's getting old. I love Joe Hendry. Huge Joe Hendry fan. Huge. If we can have him on the show, guys, I'd be elated. Love Joe Hendry. I picked him. Go back and look. I picked him to win the NXT Championship when he was in the match. But I think tonight changes that. I should say, I'm sorry. Saturday night changes that. After tonight. See how he was talking to Nemeth on Impact. And I think everyone knows. I think Nick knows. You saw it in his face. He knows. You need to pull the trigger. And there's one thing that Nick Dolph knows. You got to pass that torch to younger talent who are over to give them that rub to get them to bigger heights than you already are. Nick Nemeth drops that belt on Saturday. He comes out next Thursday. The crowd goes nuts. Nobody hates this guy because he lost the belt to Joe fucking Hendry. Does this make Joe Hendry heel? Do people turn on Joe Hendry? Is that something maybe they're worried about? Is that something that they want? Do you want to heel Joe Hendry? Joe Hendry's an awesome face. What could you do as a heel? As a heel champion? That could be interesting. And let's say Joe Hendry wins. Let's say it's a crazy match. Kazarian hits a finisher on him, knocks him out, knocks them both out, walks out of the ring. Whoever wins the call your shot match could come down and cash in. Same night. It's almost that Money in the Bank stuff when they cash in the same night. A la Bailey. A la Kane. Like, who knows? But something's up for the end of Bound for Glory this Saturday. But that doesn't skew me from the fact that regardless of what happens, of how long he holds it for, or if he even walks out of there after winning it, Joe Hendry wins the TNA World Heavyweight Championship from Nick Nemeth. Pins Nick 1, 2, 3. What happens after that? A la Kazarian. A la Nick hitting a finisher on him, just taking the boost to him, taking a chair to him, knocking him out. Who knows? What happens after that? I can't tell you. But I can tell you that Joe Hendry's getting that 1, 2, 3. He's going to win because you need him to. It's almost, I compare it almost, and I don't want to because I hate doing the parallels. I feel like TNA is better than that. And they're not at the point where they need to do this. It's almost like the Drew McIntyre storyline, right? Give it to Joe for a minute and a half. Gets his ass kicked. Someone comes down, cashes in, 1, 2, 3. He loses it. Now Joe's chasing again. But you feel bad because technically he did win, and he is a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So it's complicated, but yeah. So with that being said, guys, these matches and this card coming up on Saturday in Detroit are going to be one of the finest that TNA has put out for Bound for Glory in a long time. I love the NXT crossover in this. In 2 of the matches, it's going to be good to have that representation. And obviously the card's up and down. It's great to see Matt Cardona wrestling again. It's going to be great to see what Joe Hendry does. And it's going to be just great in general to see what happens on one of the bigger pay-per-views for TNA. So that being said, guys, I'm John Anthony. This is Chair Shot Sports. If you're taking a look at us on YouTube, please shoot us a subscribe, give us a like, hit that bell. We're putting out 2, 3, 4 shows a week on TNA, WWE, AEW, anything wrestling, and football as well. We're talking about it. Also on X, join the 17,000 strong that follow us on Instagram, X, and on Facebook at Chairshot Sports. So with that being said, guys, get out of work early, grab a cold beverage, get your ass in a nice mold in your favorite chair. Get ready for an amazing show coming to you from Detroit, Bound for Glory 2024.